session, you are going to learn about the apocrine sweat glands and also the other specialized sweat glands. So you will be able to learn about the physiology of integumentary system in this session. So starting with the apocrine sweat glands. So what are apocrine sweat glands? Where they are located? So unlike eccrine glands, which we have discussed earlier, these are found all over the body. So apocrine glands, these are found only in the specific areas like axilla, nothing but armpits, areola of the breast, anogenital region, beard area in adult males, and also around the umbilicus. So these areas, they are linked to the emotional sweating and also pheromone activity rather than the temperature control. So what is the structure of the apocrine sweat gland? So it is a large deep called tubular glands. So this is located deep in the dermis and they open into the upper part of hair follicle but not directly on the skin surface. So this gets activated at puberty under the hormonal influences. So what does it secrete? So what are the types of secretion? Apocrine glands, they produces a thick viscous milky secretion. So they contain water plus lipids plus proteins and also fatty substances and pheromones. So sweat itself is not smelly, right? But bacteria on the skin break it down. So they produces the body odor, especially in the armpits. So what is the mode of secretion? Traditionally, they were believed to secrete by apocrine decapitation. So what do you mean by apocrine decapitation? Nothing but it's a loss of part of a cell. But modern histology, what does it say? It shows they actually use merocrine secretion, which is exocytosis. Nothing but no cell portion is lost. So apocrine glands are apocrine only by name, but not by the secretion mechanism. So why this apocrine glands are clinically important? Because body odor mainly occurs due to apocrine secretion plus bacteria. And hidradenitis suppurativa is a chronic disease which is involving the apocrine sweat glands. So this hyperhidrosis mainly affects the eccrine, but emotionally sweating may involve the apocrine. So what are the functions of the apocrine sweat glands? So these functions of the apocrine sweat glands are temperature control. So it controls the temperature like emotionally sweating and pheromones. It is a thick and oily sweat gland. It is present in a limited areas and it is also activated from the puberty. So sweat produced by the sweat glands, the odor, it produces the odor after the bacterial action. So these are the functions of the apocrine glands. So now let's go into the specialized sweat glands. So what are specialized sweat glands? Some sweat glands in the body, these are modified to perform the special functions rather than the cooling. So the first type among them is ceruminous glands. So what is the location of the ceruminous gland? It is found only in the external auditory canal, nothing but ear canal. You can clearly see a picture over here. This is the ear canal and ceruminous glands are present within the ear canal. So this is present in the skin lining the ear canal alongside of the hair follicles and sebaceous glands. Now what is the secretion done by ceruminous glands? It produces a cerumen which is commonly known as the earwax. So why is earwax important? So what are the functions of the cerumen? Although this cerumen, this earwax, it helps in lubrication, it prevents dryness of the ear canal, it helps in protection, it traps the dust, microbes and insects. It also acts as an antimicrobial agent, nothing but it contains the lysozymes and fatty acids that fight bacteria and fungi. So it also functions as a waterproof. So this prevents the moisture buildup inside the ear. So now how ceruminous glands work? So these ceruminous glands, these are the modified apocrine sweat glands. So they combine the secretions from ceruminous glands and also the sebaceous glands. It produces the cerumen, nothing but the earwax. So this is about the ceruminous glands. So what are the functions of the ceruminous glands? They trap the dust and microbes. So this lubricates the ear canal. It produces the cerumen. So lubricates ear canal, it provides us the waterproofing and also it acts as the antimicrobial activity. So next to ceruminous glands, you have the axillary structure called as this mammary glands. So this is also the axillary gland of the integumentary system. So what is this mammary gland? It is located at the breast tissue. So what is the function of this mammary gland? It produces milk during lactation period. So it produces the milk to the newborn baby, and these are also called as the modified apocrine glands, right? So what is the structure of the mammary gland? You can clearly see the picture of the mammary gland here. You have these gland lobules, you have lactiferous sinus, lactiferous duct, suspensory ligaments, and you have these intercostal muscles which are present in between the ribs and lung. And you can also see the pectoralis major muscle, pectoral fascia, and also the ribs, and this side you have the ribs and lungs. So lobes, lobules, and then alveoli. Alveoli are nothing but these are the milk secreting units. So how the hormones is regulated? Prolactin hormone, which is, it stimulates the milk production, which helps for lactation, and also oxytocin, it stimulates the milk ejection, let down reflex. Okay, so these are the hormones that play a role in the regulation of the mammary glands. So next, coming to functions of sweat glands. So what are the functions of sweat glands? Sweat glands, they do much more than just produce sweat. So they helps to protect the body and they keep the skin healthy. So what are the major functions? The regulation of the body temperature. Nothing but when the body becomes hot, the sweat glands releases the sweat. So sweating cools the body throughout the evaporative heat loss, which is helping to prevent the overheating. And then excretion of the metabolic waste. So sweat removes small amounts of waste such as urea, salts, and ammonia. So what does this do? This supports the body's natural detoxification process, although kidneys do the major excretion. So a third function is maintain fluid or electrolyte balance. So by regulating how much water and electrolytes are lost in sweat, so the sweat glands, they helps to maintain the proper hydration and electrolyte levels. So the next function is antibacterial protection. I have already discussed about this acid mantle. The acidic pH of the skin is 4.5 to 6.0. So what does the sweat glands do? Sweat contributes to maintaining this acidic pH of the skin. So this acid mantle, it prevents the harmful bacteria and fungi from growing on the skin. So the fifth function is emotional and stress response. Apocrine glands. This apocrine sweat glands, this releases the sweat during the emotions like stress, fear, pain. So this type of sweating, that does not cool the body, but it is linked to the emotional reactions. And then next function is pheromone-like signaling. So apocrine sweat glands, they produces secretions that may act as a chemical signals. So these pheromone-like signals, these are associated with the attraction and also they are associated with the social emotional communication. So mainly in the animals and it is limited in the humans. So this is about the pheromone-like signaling. And the last function is lubrication and protection. So lubrication is done by ceruminous glands and protection by mammary glands. So what does the ceruminous glands do? They produces the ear wax, which helps in trapping the dust and microbes, and also it waterproofs the ear canal. Whereas mammary glands, they produces the milk, which nourishes the newborn and provides the immune protection. So these are all the functions of the sweat glands. So now let's go into the physiology of the integumentary system. In before sessions, you have learnt about the complete anatomy of integumentary system, including hair follicles, nails, and also the glands and accessory glands. And now you are going to learn about the physiology, nothing but the functions, like how integumentary system functions in the body, what role it plays in the human body. So the integumentary system, it includes skin, hair, nails, glands, and also the sensory receptors. So its main role is to keep the body alive and safe by maintaining homeostasis, providing protection, regulating body temperature, allowing sensation, and also protective function is the most important function which is played role by the integumentary system. So what is the protective function? Which includes mechanical, chemical, and biological barrier. So the skin acts like a shield that protects the body in three major ways. So what are those? The mechanical protection, chemical protection, and also the biological protection. So coming to mechanical protection, how does it protect? So the outermost layer of skin, which is epidermis, it protects the body from physical harm. So keratin, it makes the skin tough and the resistant. So what does it prevent from? It prevents from trauma, that is injury from impact. It prevents from friction, that is rubbing, and it also prevents from abrasions, nothing but scraping of the skin. So lipids in the epidermis, they form a waterproof layer which prevents the excess water loss, and it also maintains the body hydration. So this is about the mechanical protection. So next coming to chemical protection, the skin produces the substances that fight microbes and infection. Like it creates a slightly acidic environment, a thin film of sweat plus sebum that maintains acid mantle in the pH range of 4.5 to 6.5. It also inhibits the bacterial growth. So the sebum, which is secreted from the sebaceous glands, it contains the fatty acids. It also has a microbial activity which kills bacteria and fungi. The sweat, which is released by the sweat glands, this contains lysozyme and also the dermatitis. So these both are the antibacterial proteins. So what does they do? They break down the bacteria. So this is about the chemical protection. I know biological protection. So the skin is not only a physical coating, it is actively involved in both the fighting infections and also the preventing damage from the environment. So what are the key components of this biological function or biological protection? Langerhans cells, macrophages, melanin, and normal flora. So what is the function of the Langerhans cells? It detects the foreign substances, they alert the immune system, and so they start the immune response. So next coming to macrophages, they destroy the pathogens that enter the skin after the injuries. And then melanin, what does melanin do? It protects the skin from harmful UV radiation by absorbing the sunlight. So it absorbs the sunlight. And also normal flora, it is a good bacteria on the skin. This normal flora, it competes with the harmful microbes, so which prevent the infections. So together, these mechanisms like physical protection, chemical protection, and also the biological protection, these mechanisms together, they ensure the skin act as a biological barrier, protecting against the microbes and also the radiation. So this is about the protective function. And then coming to temperature regulation. So what do you mean by temperature regulation? The body must maintain a constant internal temperature, so which is similar to 37 degrees Celsius for a normal physiological functions. So skin plays a major role in heat regulation. What is it? Heat loss mechanisms. Nothing but when body temperature rises. So what happens when body temperature rises? It leads to sweating. So how does it work? The sweat evaporates from the skin surface, right? So next is vasodilation of the dermal blood vessels. So whenever the blood vessels widen, more blood flows near the skin surface. So for example, when exercising or on a hot day, more sweating, plus you can see a red or flushed skin due to vasodilation, because the blood vessels in your body get widened. So you get started sweating, and also you can feel this red skin due to this vasodilation. And next is heat vasoconstriction and also the piloerection. So vasoconstriction, it decreases the blood flow, whereas earlier we have discussed about the vasodilation, it increases the blood flow, whereas vasoconstriction, it decreases the blood flow. And piloerection is nothing but whenever our erector pili muscles contract, what happens? Our hair stands upright. So what is the condition called as, what do you call as whenever the hair stands upright? You call it as goosebumps. So every day we can experience this goosebumps. So what does this erectile pili muscles do? They help to trap a thin layer of air. So this is little effect. This is not more effective in humans. It is most important in animals, but it has a little effect in the humans. So next, coming to the sensory perception. So what do you mean by sensory perception? The skin is not just a covering, it also acts as a sensory organ. So it contains the specialized sensory receptors that detect the different kinds of stimuli such as touch, pressure, vibration, pain, and temperature. So why is sensory perception important? It allows the body to detect the harmful stimuli like pain or heat. It senses the surroundings like touch and vibration. It coordinates the protective responses, for example, like pulling hand away from the hot object. It also helps in the activities requiring fine motor skills. So what are the sensory receptors in the skin? Here you can clearly see Mucinous corpuscles. What does it function? It functions like light and fine touch. So it is located in the papillary dermis, which is the upper dermis. And Merkel cells, it functions with the fine touch and also the pressure, like slow response. It is present, it is located in the epidermis region. And then Pacinian corpuscles. So it helps in deep pressure and vibration. It is located in the deep dermis and hypodermis. So Ruffini endings. It helps in stretchability. It helps in stretching the muscles. It is even located in the dermis region. And free nerve endings. What is the function of free nerve endings? It senses the pain and temperature. It is also present in both the epidermis and dermis. So this is about the sensory perception. So next, coming to metabolic and endocrine functions. So although the skin is mainly known for protection, it also plays an important role in metabolism and also the endocrine activity. What is the meaning by it? The skin is actively involved in both the chemical reactions and also the hormone related processes inside the body. So what do you mean by vitamin D synthesis? So the skin is the primary site where vitamin D is produced, right? Vitamin D is produced in our skin itself. So what is the step-by-step process in the vitamin D synthesis? UVB sunlight, it hits the skin. So this converts the 7-dehydrocholesterol, a compound in the epidermis, into the vitamin D3, which is called as cholecalciferol. So this vitamin D3, it travels to the liver and then it becomes a calcidiol. Then this calcidiol is traveled to the kidneys and it becomes a calcitriol, which is the active vitamin D component. So without skin, body cannot make the vitamin D. Hence, what happens when vitamin D is absent in the skin? It leads to bone weakness and also it results in the low immunity. So next is storage of nutrients. So this hypodermis, which is also called as a subcutaneous layer, it acts like a body's energy bank. So it stores the materials like fatty acids, triglycerides, nothing but the fat stores within the layer. So what are the functions of this hypodermis, which releases the fatty acids? So it plays a role of the energy storage. It is used whenever the body has low glucose. It also plays a role in the cushioning, like it protects the internal organs from injury. It also helps to retain the body heat. So next, what is the hormone metabolism? The skin also participates in the hormone regulation. Like how it participates, the skin contains special enzymes that can both activate the hormones and also deactivate the hormones. For example, the skin can help in cortisol metabolism, which is a stress hormone, which it maintains the balance and also prevents the excessive hormone activity. So this is about the hormone metabolism. So next about the excretion, immune function and water balance. So what is excretion? So excretion means removal of waste products from the body. So what is the role of sweat glands in excretion? The sweat glands, it removes small amounts of the metabolic waste through sweat. So what does this sweat contains? It contains water, sodium, potassium, and all these electrolytes including urea, ammonia, and also the lactic acid. So this lactic acid, it is produced by the muscles during the exercise. So what is the importance of the excretion? It helps the body to eliminate the minor waste. It also helps to maintain the balance of water and even the electrolytes. So this is about the excretion. Now then, immune function, like how skin acts as an immune function. So skin is not just a covering, it is an active part of the immune system also. So how skin contributes to the immunity? It has some components, it has some cells like Langerhans cells. These detect the foreign particles and they activate the T cells. Whereas keratinocytes, they produces the cytokines which alert and activate the immune cells. And antimicrobial peptides like defenses and catalysidins, they kill or they inhibit the growth of microbes. Whereas sebum, it contains antimicrobial fatty acids which stop the bacterial growth. So skin constantly monitors the environment, it detects the harmful organisms and also fights the infections. So the last function is water balance and prevention of the dehydration. So the skin prevents the body from losing too much of water and also it absorbs too much of water from outside. Now how the skin prevents the water loss? There is a layer, outermost skin layer called as stratum corneum. It contains keratin and lipids. So this creates a waterproof barrier. It reduces the water evaporation from the body. It also maintains the hydration. So this skin, it also has a dual protection. It prevents water from leaving the body too quickly and also it prevents the outside water from entering the body. So in this way, skin has a dual protection which helps in water balance and also prevention of the dehydration. So these are the functions of the integumentary system. So this is for today's session. In the next session, you will be able to learn about the ICD 10 CM coding guidelines for the diseases of the skin and integumentary system. Thank you.